I would now like to introduce David Chalmers, please, who will give us a kind of a political picture.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I've been asked to sort of, I suppose, give a bit of the political context to what has been happening. I haven't, like many of the other people here later on, actually been over to Greece and to the Middle East, but I have been to the camps in Dunkirk and Calais. I've made 2 trips over there this year, and I was invited over there by one of the organisations, Hummingbird, who are out of Brighton, to actually sort of see how people are living over there. Barra gave a very sort of eloquent picture of what's happening in Syria. And we've got to remember that this, as he mentioned, there are other countries that are involved as well. Eritrea, Afghanistan, people are fleeing from many of those. But Syria is really the milestone which has made this crisis into the worst humanitarian crisis in 70 years. And just when you think about the figures, in 2014, there were 190,000 refugees who came to Europe. Last year, it went up to 1 million. And this year, they think there might be 3 million refugees coming to Europe. It's a crisis which we, in some ways, are almost cushioned from in this country. Other countries are taking in, like Germany, up to 1 million. We've been taking in, a matter of a few hundred. We have managed to get the government here to actually say that they will take in 20,000 refugees over 5 years. That was something that they improved. But compared to what other countries are doing, it is really very little. One of the things that when I went over to Calais and Dunkirk, I was lucky enough to be able to take him into a tent, and I met with a group of 5 young men, aged between the ages of about 15 and 27. I'll come back to that, but they sort of gave me a bit of a picture of why they had sort of fled and come to why they were in Dunkirk. They saw this country as very much a sort of beacon of hope, a refuge. Many of them, as Barra had said, had learned English, they'd studied English, and they wanted to come here. Out of the group, 4 of them had family here. Now, under international law, if you present yourself in a country, you should, and you've got family in that country, or you have a connection to that country, you should be able to seek refuge or seek asylum in that country. We have very cleverly put our border over in France, so that the refugees can't actually claim asylum in this country. And that is one of the reasons why so many of them are there, and why the French have sort of had, up until recently, just sort of left them there, living in mud, in the worst kind of conditions you can imagine. It really is, and I want to say this, it's a humanitarian crisis which we really got to sort of like try to put an influence on our government to make a difference. I, since I've been back, have been asking of my own party, the Liberal Democrats, to actually really put this at the forefront of their policy. And we did, a couple of weeks ago, we had a debate in Parliament, in the House of Lords and House of Commons. All parties were party to this. And we, at the end of that week, although the government had said they were doing enough, they actually gave £17 million to actually helping relocate some of the refugees from the camps in Calais. So what I'm saying is that we can actually make a difference if we put influence on the government. Also, what we're going to do here next week, and this will actually be quite unique for the whole of the country, is that the North Devon Solidarity Group, Refugee Solidarity Group, would like to turn Northern Devon into a sanctuary for refugees. Now, cities around the UK have done so, like Exeter, Plymouth, and they have actually been welcoming refugees. We are next week actually calling a meeting of all the town and parish councils across Northern Devon to actually discuss this issue and what we can do and what the government can do to help us, and also what Devon County can do and what individuals can. So it's really quite a unique first for the country to be doing so. So I think that it shows that people really do care in this part of the world. I'm going back now to those 5 young men that I met. One of them really stands very much in mind. People would say, well, why did you come here? He went out playing football one Saturday afternoon, and he came back to his house to find it bombed. His family all dead. He went to his friend's house, who was with him actually in Calais, and his parents basically sent the 2 of them away, gave them the money they could to get away. And that is one of the things that you notice why, as Barrett said, if you stay there, you either become killed or you become a killer. And one of those young lads actually gave me a letter, which has been published and has been read. Hussein is his name. And I'm going to read that to you now because I think it's a very, very poignant and strong message. It's a message from the Syrian people to us. So it's, we are just ordinary people, the same to the people of Europe. Dear people of Europe, children, women, fathers and brothers just want to live. Now they are fleeing from their home and countries. You call them refugees. They are humiliated in Europe. Children, instead of drawing sweet childhood memories, are drawing the cold of winter, lack of water and food, disease, and standing in the camp's long queues. This will put the history of the 21st century to shame. In the centre of Europe, cities with the population of 7,000 to 8,000 people have been created for refugees, with cold nights and dangerous, lawless, and hopeless, tiring, hungry days. Death is just a step away from refugees. Sometimes food is brought in via charities and people with hearts of gold, but unfortunately it is not enough. Sleeping in tents while shivering from cold, and nightmares of homes on fire and death, fear of radical extremists and fights, and tear gas thrown by the police into the camp's location and tents. Dear people of Europe and the UK, I don't believe that in the heart of Europe, centre of technology and civilization, you don't know that such a place exists. History will judge all of us according to our actions. This will stain the heart of history and humanity, and it can never be removed. Dear people of UK and France, please open the doors to us refugees and save us. We are not terrorists. We are not soldiers. We are not politicians. We are just ordinary people in pursuit of our peaceful life. I only want to live. Death is following me like my shadow in this hellish jungle of hopes. Please open your hearts and borders to us and end the war. The same. One of the things that I would say is that it's something when you've been over and you've seen how these people are, in what circumstances they're being forced to live and what they've fled from, they're fleeing for their lives, the same as we would if we were in that situation. You can't turn your back on that. And that is what I think we need to do we're talking about political context, is to make more of our fellow countrymen and our politicians aware of what is happening there, because I'm sure that once they know, that they won't turn their back on this.